appeared, all the devotees became fearless. The devotee's hope of becoming fearless is to chant the holy name of Lord Nrsimhadev. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. Wherever we go, we must always think of Lord Nrsimhadev. Thus, there will be no fear for the devotee of the Lord. Can I please read one more, Mataji, if that's okay?
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Okay. Text 6. Satat kara sparsha dhuta khila shubha sapadya abhivyakta paratma darshanah tat pada padmam Ridi nirvrito dadahu rishya tanhu klina rid ashru lochanaha. Translation. By the touch of Lord Nrsimhadev's hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, Prahlad was completely freed of all material contaminations and desires, as if he had been thoroughly cleansed. Therefore, he at once became transcendently situated, and all the symptoms of ecstasy became manifest in his body. His heart filled with love, and his eyes filled with and his eyes with tears, and thus he was able to completely capture the lotus feet of the Lord within the core of his heart. Purport, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 14.26, Mam cha yo व्याभिचरेण भक्तियोगेन सेवते स गुणान् समतीत्यान् brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 9.32, the Lord says, माम ही पार्थ व्यापश्रित्य ये अपीषु पापयोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्रस् ते अपि यान्ति param gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, vaishyas, merchants, as well as shudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. On the strength of these verses from Bhagavad Gita, it is evident that although Prahlad Maharaj was born in a demoniac family, and although virtually demoniac blood flowed within his body, he was cleansed of all material bodily contamination because of his exalted position as a devotee. In other words, such impediments on the spiritual path could not stop him from progressing, for he was directly in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are physically and mentally contaminated by atheism cannot be situated on the transcendental platform. But as soon as one is freed from material contamination, he is immediately fit to be situated in devotional service. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Anybody?
Hare Krishna. Asto siddharim ekagra manasa shushmahahita prema gadaya vacha tanyashtarida yikshana. Prahlad Maharaj fixed his mind and sight upon Lord Nrsimhadev with full attention and complete trance. With the fixed mind, he began to offer prayers in love with a faltering voice. The word Shushmahita means very attentive or fully fixed. The ability to fix the mind in this way is a result of yoga siddhi, mystic perfection, as it is stated in Srimad Bhagvatam 12.13.1. Dhyana vastita tad gatena manasa pashyanti yam yogina. One attains yogic perfection when he is freed from all material diversions and his mind is fixed upon the lotus feet of the Lord. This is called samadhi or trance. Prahlad Maharaj attained that stage beyond the senses. Because he was engaged in service, he felt transcendently situated, and naturally his mind and attention became saturated in transcendence. In that condition, he began to offer his prayers as follows. Can you scroll down? Shri Prarada Uvacha Brahmadaya Suragana Munayo Tasida Satvaikatana Gatayo Vachasham Pravahai Naraditum Pura Gunair Adunapi Pipru Kim Tostum Arhati Same Harir Ugra Jate. Prahlad Maharaj prayed, how is it possible for me, who have been born in a family of asuras, to offer suitable prayers to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Even until now, all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and all the saintly persons could not satisfy the Lord by streams of excellent words, although such persons are very qualified, being in the mode of goodness. Then what is it to be said of me? I am not at all qualified. A Vaishnav who is fully qualified to serve the Lord still thinks himself extremely low while offering prayers to the Lord. For example, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, says, Jagai Madai Haite Muni Se Papishta Puri Shera Kita Haita Muni Se Lagishta. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 5.205. Thus he considers himself unqualified, lower than the worms in stool, and more sinful than Jaga and Madai. A pure Vaishnava actually thinks of himself in this way. Similarly, although Prahlad Maharaj was a pure exalted Vaishnava, he thought himself more unqualified to offer prayers to the Supreme Lord. Mahajano yena gata sa panta. Every pure Vaishnava should think like this. One should not be falsely proud of his Vaishnava qualifications. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore instructed us. Tridan api sunichena tarun api sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense and false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Unless one is meek and humble, to make the progress in spiritual life is very difficult. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother. Anyone want to read the next one?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Prabhuji.
Mani dhanabhijana rupatapa sutauja steja prabhavala paurusa buddhi yoga naradhanaya hi bhavanti parasya pumso bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajapu yutapaya.
Prahlad Maharaj continued, one may possess wealth and aristocratic family, beauty, austerity, education, sensory expertise, luster, influence, physical strength, diligence, intelligence, and mystic yogic power. But I think that even by all these qualifications, one cannot satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, one can satisfy the Lord simply by devotional service. Gajendra did this, and thus the Lord was satisfied with him.
No kind of material qualification is the means for satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, only by devotional service can the Lord be known. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Unless the Lord is pleased by the service of a devotee, the Lord does not reveal himself. Naham prakashaya sarvasya yoga maya samavrita. This is the verdict of all shastras. Neither by speculation nor by material qualifications can one understand understand or approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody?
Krishna Mataji, my pranams to you, Mataji.
Yes, to you. Please go ahead, Mataji.
Text 10. Vipradvisatgunayutad aravindhanabha padaravinda vimukat swapacham varishtam manye tadarpitamanovan वाचनेहितार्था प्राणं पुनाति सकुलं न तु भूरिमानः. Translation: If a Brahmana has all 12 of the Brahmanical qualifications as they are stated in the book called Sanat Sujata, but is not a devotee and is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, he is certainly lower than a devotee who is dog eater but who has dedicated everything, mind, words, activities, wealth, and life to the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee is better than such a Brahmana because the devotee can purify his whole family, whereas the so-called Brahmana in a position of false prestige cannot purify even himself. Purport: Here is the statement by Prahlad Maharaj, one of the 12 authorities, regarding the distinction between a devotee and a Brahmana expert in Karma Kanda or Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. There are 4 varnas and 4 ashramas which divide human society, but the central principle is to become a first class pure devotee. It is said in the Haribhakta Sudhodaya, Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Sastram Japastapa Apranasyaiva Dehasya Mandanam Lokaranjanam. If one is born in the high family like that of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or a Vaishya, but is not a devotee of the Lord, all his good qualifications as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya are null and void. Indeed, they are considered decorations of a dead body. In this verse, Prahlad Maharaj speaks of the Vipras, the learned Brahmanas. The learned Brahmana is considered best among the divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. But a devotee born in a low Chandala family is better than such Brahmanas, not to speak of the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and others. A devotee is better than anyone, for he is in the transcendental position on the Brahman platform. Mam chayo व्यभिचारेण भक्तियोगेन सेवते सगुणान् समतीत्यातीतान् ब्रह्मण भूयाय kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahmana. Bhagavad Gita 14.26. The 12 qualities of a first class Brahmana, as stated in the book called Sanat Sujata, are as follows: Jnanam cha satyam cha dhamma shrutam cha hi atma amat saryam hris titikshana suya yajnascha danam cha dhrite samascha mahavrata dvadasa brahmanasya. The European and American devotee in the Krishna consciousness movement are sometimes accepted as Brahmana, but the so-called caste Brahmanas are very much envious of them. In answer to such envy, Prahlad Maharaj says that one who one who has been born in a Brahmana family but is falsely proud of his prestigious position cannot even purify himself, not to speak of his family. Whereas if a Chandala, a low born person, is a devotee and has fully surrendered onto the lotus feet of the Lord, he can purify his entire family. We have had actual experience of how Americans and Europeans, because of their full Krishna consciousness, have purified their whole families, so much so that a mother of a devotee, at the time of her death, inquired about Krishna with her last breath. Therefore, it is theoretical, true, and has been practically proven that a devotee can give the best service of his family, his community, his society, and his nation. The foolish accuse a devotee of following the principle of escapism, but actually, the fact is that a devotee is the right person to elevate his family. A devotee engages everything in the service of the Lord, and therefore he is always exalted. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Anybody wants to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat.
Sorry, but you can try to make it a little bigger so that I can see it. Devatmanaha prabhuryam nijlabhapurno manam janadvadisham karuno vrinite yad yajjano bhagavate vididhit manam tachatmane pratimukhyasya yatha mukhyashri. The Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always fully satisfied in Himself. Therefore, when something is offered to Him, the offering by the Lord's mercy is for the benefit of the devotee. For the Lord does not need service from anyone. To give an example, if one's face is decorated, the reflection of one's face in the mirror is also seen to be decorated. In Bhakti Yoga, it is recommended that a devotee follow 9 principles: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. The service of glorifying the Lord by hearing, chanting, and so on is not, of course, meant for the benefit of the Lord. This devotional service is recommended for the benefit of the devotee. The Lord is always glorious, whether the devotee glorifies Him or not. But if the devotee engages in glorifying the Lord, the devotee himself automatically becomes glorious. Cheto darpana majanam bhava mahadavagni nirvasanam. By glorifying the Lord constantly, the living entity becomes purified in the core of his heart, and thus he can understand that he does not belong to the material world but is a spirit soul whose actual activity is to advance in Krishna consciousness so that he may become free from the material clutches. Thus, the blazing fire of material existence is immediately extinguished. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. A foolish person is amazed that Krishna orders Sarva Dharma Parityagamamekam Sharanam Vraja. Abandon all varieties of religious activities and just surrender unto me. Some foolish scholars even say that this is too much to demand, but this demand is not for the benefit of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, it is for the benefit of human society. If human beings, individually and collectively, surrender everything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in full Krishna consciousness, all of human society will benefit. One who does not dedicate everything to the Supreme Lord is described in this verse as Avedusha, a rascal. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, text 15, the Lord Himself speaks in the same way. Namam duskritino mudha prapadyante naradhamaha mayaya pririta jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Because of ignorance and misfortune, the atheists and the Naradhamas, the lowest of men, do not surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, although the Supreme Lord Krishna is full in himself, he appears in different yugas to demand the surrender of the conditioned souls so that they will benefit by becoming free from the material clutches. In conclusion, the more we engage in Krishna consciousness and render service unto the Lord, the more we benefit. Krishna does not need service from any of us. Shall I continue, Mataji, or?
Prabhu, you can continue maybe.
तस्मदहं विकल्व ईश्वरस्य सर्वात्मनः मही गृणामि यथा मनिषहं निचो जया गुणा विसर्गमनुप्रविष्टः प्रयेत येन हि पुमानमु वर्णितेन. Therefore, although I was born in a demoniac family, I may without a doubt offer prayers to the Lord with full endeavor as far as my intelligence allows. Anyone who has been forced by ignorance to enter the material world may be purified of material life if he offers prayers to the Lord and hears the Lord's glories. It is clearly understood that a devotee does not need to be born in a very high family to be rich, to be aristocratic, or to be very beautiful. None of these qualifications will engage one in devotional service. With devotion, one should feel God is great and I am very small. Therefore, my duty is to offer my prayers to the Lord. Only on this basis can one understand and render service to the Lord. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 55, Bhaktya mam janati yavan yaschasmihi tatvatah tatoh mam tatvatoh yatvah vishyate tad anantaram. One can understand the Supreme Personality as He is only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Thus, Prahlad Maharaja decided to offer his best prayers to the Lord without consideration of his material position.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Anybody wants to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dhanvad
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna Mataji.
Text 13. Sarveya ami vidikaras tava sattva brahmadayo vayam iveshana chodvijanta shemaya bhutaya uttatma shukaya chasya vikriditam bhagavato ruchira vatare. Translation: O my Lord, all the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, are sincere servants of your Lordship, who are situated in a transcendental position. Therefore, they are not like us, Prahlad and his father, the demon Hiranyakashipu. Your appearance in this fearsome form is your pastime for your own pleasure. Such an incarnation is always meant for the protection and improvement of the universe. Purport: Prahlad Maharaj wanted to assert that his father and the other members of his family were all unfortunate because they were demonic, whereas the devotees of the Lord are always fortunate because they are always ready to follow the orders of the Lord. When the Supreme Lord appears in this material world in his various incarnations, he performs two functions: saving the devotee and vanquishing the demon. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. Lord Narsimhadev, for example, appeared for the protection of his devotee. Such pastimes are those of Narsimhadev are certainly not meant to create a fearful situation for the devotees, but nonetheless,
The devotees, being very simple and faithful, were afraid of the fierce incarnation of the Lord. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj, in the following prayer, requests the Lord to give up his anger. Should I read the next one to Mataji?
You can read. Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Text 14. Tadyachamanyum asuras chahatas tvayadya moldeta sadhur api vrichika sarpahatya lokascha nivritam ita pratiyanti sarve rupam narsimha vibhayaya jana smaranti. Translation: My Lord Narsimha Dev, please therefore cease your anger now that my father, the great demon Hiranyakashipu, has been killed. Since even saintly persons take pleasure in the killing of a scorpion or a snake, all the worlds have achieved great satisfaction because of the death of this demon. Now they are confident of their happiness and they will always remember your auspicious incarnation in order to be free from fear. Purport: The most important point in this verse is that although saintly persons never desire the killing of any living entity, they take pleasure in the killing of envious living entities like snakes and scorpions. Hiranyakashipu was killed because he was worse than a snake or a scorpion, and therefore everyone was happy. Now there was no need for the Lord to be angry. The devotees can always remember the form of Narsimha Dev when they are in danger, and therefore the appearance of Narsimha Dev was not at all inauspicious. The Lord's appearance is always worshipable and auspicious for all sane persons and devotees. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to read the next one?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I can try.
Yes, Prabhu.
Text 15. Naham bibhemi ajitate tibhyanakasya jivhar ka netra prakuti rabasogra tamstrit antra sraja shataja keshara sanku karanan nirhrida bhita digibhad aribhin nakhargrat. Translation: My Lord, who are never conquered by anyone, I am certainly not afraid of your ferocious mouth and tongue, your eyes bright like the sun, or your frowning eyebrows. I do not fear your sharp, pinching teeth, your garland of intestines, your mane soaked with blood, or your high, wedge like ears, nor do I fear your tumultuous roaring, which makes the elephants flee to distant places, or your nails, which are meant to kill your enemies. But Lord Nrsimhadev's fierce appearance was certainly most dangerous for the non-devotees, but for Prahlad Maharaj, such a fearful appearance was not at all disturbing. The lion is very fearsome for other animals, but its cubs are not at all afraid of the lion. The water of the sea is certainly dreadful for all living entities on the land, but within the sea, even the small fish is unafraid. Why? Because the small fish has taken shelter of the big ocean. It is said that although great elephants are taken away by flooding waters of rivers, the small fish swim opposite the current. Therefore, although the Lord sometimes assumes a fierce appearance to kill the Duskritis, the devotees worship him. Keshavadhrita Narhari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. The devotees always take pleasure in worshipping the Lord and glorifying the Lord in any form, either pleasing or fierce. Should I continue? Madhu?
Yes, Prabhu, we can continue.
Trastosmi aham kripna vatsala do sahogra samsara chakra kadanad grasatam parinita baddhasva karmabhir usatmate nigrahi mulam prito pavarga saranam yavase kadanu. Translation: O most powerful, insurmountable Lord, who are kind to the fallen souls, I have been put into the association of the demons as a result of my activities, and therefore I am very much afraid of my condition of life within this material world. When will that moment come when you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the ultimate goal for liberation from conditional life? Purport: being in the material world is certainly miserable, but certainly when one is put into the association of asuras or atheistic men, it is intolerable so. One may ask why the living entity is put into the material world. Indeed, sometimes foolish people deride the Lord for having put them there. Actually, everyone is put into the conditional life according to his karma. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj, representing all the other conditioned souls, admits that he was put into life among asuras because of the results of his karma. The Lord is known as Kripana Vatsala because he is extremely kind to the conditioned souls. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, therefore, the Lord appears whenever there are discrepancies in execution of the religious principles. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyattanam adharmasya tadatmanam shrujamyaham. The Lord is extremely anxious to deliver the conditioned souls, and therefore He instructs all of us to return home, back to Godhead. Swadharma parityajya mam ekam saranam braja. Thus, Prahlad Maharaj expected that the Lord, by His kindness, would call him again to the shelter of His lotus feet. In other words, everyone should be eager to return back home, back to Godhead, taking shelter of His lotus feet of the Lord, and thus being fully trained in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare.
So let us pause over here for the timing now. So please share your comments and reflection.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
So, Mataji, few things from today's reading. The qualities, like, how a Vaishnava feels himself unqualified out of his humility. That was wonderful to read. Again, glories of devotional service, like all the qualities, like, very nice qualities that were described, which are not good if there is not devotional service. So, again, glories of devotional service. Um, Another point was, like we read last time about the prayers, like when we are praying, Lord, out of His kindness, is accepting our prayers. And we read in one of the purports there that Lord is always glorious, whether we glorify Him or not. So it is when living entities are glorifying the Lord, it is for their own purification, and for them to, like, eventually transcend the different modes of material nature. And in this regard, I was remembering, I often hear Ujjwala Mataji saying that, like, service is a privilege. Like, if we are getting any opportunity to serve, it is a privilege. So it is for our own purification. So I thought of that point, what Mataji often says. And then the other point was yatha manisham, like, to our capacity, whatever we know, whatever our intelligence allows us, we should use that intelligence to glorify the Lord. And also, again, it was a reminder that how Prahlad Maharaj says that he is not fearful of this fierce form of the Lord because he has taken shelter of the Lordships.
Very, very true, Mataji. All you said is very true. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Anyone wants to say a reflection?
Hare Krishna. So I think what I saw in this chapter was like here, Prahlad Maharaj, like when when Narsimhadev was really enraged, like after killing the demon Hiranyakashipu, So none of the demigods, like even goddess Lakshmi, was scared to approach him. But upon Lord Brahma's request, Prahlad Maharaj, he with almost so much confidence and Lord's affection, he appeared before him, and that too without any fear. So that part once I saw, and then further I saw that. 1 minute, Mataji. So yeah, I think further in another point which I liked was I think in text 10, he's arguing that like even like a devotee, even though he's from a low background, he's still more esteemed than a non-devotee or a Brahmin. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to share the reflection?
Hare Krishna Mataji, my
Hare
pranams
Krishna,
to you.
Mataji. Yeah, my pranams to you.
Yes, a couple of points. What I liked is that how it is mentioned that devotional service of the Lord is available to everyone. So Prahlad Maharaj is mentioning that even he, although he is a Mahabhagavat, out of humility, he's saying that he is from a demoniac, he and his father is from a demoniac demons, but they are still they can offer and pacify, he can offer and pacify the Lord. So devotional service is available to everyone. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport has mentioned Bhagavad Gita words that devotional service is available to the Shudras, to the women, low caste. So that is very beautiful that anyone can do devotional service to the Lord. And in the further verses, I think it was verse 9, which says, no material qualification. We don't need any special talent to do that, to please the Lord, actually. All the material qualification, you pull this verse. Aristocratic family, beauty, austerity, education, sensory expertise, all these qualifications, which are actually Lord's vibhuti. Lord has given us that qualification. But even if we do not have that, we don't need them to please the Lord. Just mood, the thought is needed for bhakti. So this was very pleasing to hear. And as the words started, we started reading in 6 and 7, I think. It starts at how Lord touches the Prahlad Maharaj, and with that touch, the prayer come out. And I was remembering the morning prayers of Ujjwala Mataji when we hear about Dhruv Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, how the touch of the Lord brings brings us one to the transcendental platform. So similarly, Sri Mataji says that when we are with the Harinam, the touch of Harinam is going to bring us to the spiritual platform. And when as Mataji also mentioned that the services and the glorification is for our benefit. It is nothing. Lord doesn't need it, and that point makes me think how kind He is. How kind He's here on our altars, receiving our services, whatever way we are able to offer it. He doesn't need it. He has pure devotees offering him pure things, and he's still there here in our altars receiving our services, allowing us to serve him in the temple. So such a merciful Lord there. And one last point which I really liked is that Krapana Vatsala, I think it was last text we were reading. And I think, if you can scroll to 16, Mataji. I'm just trying to see what was the what was in what regard it was said. Yeah, so that's why. Yeah, so it says, if you come to the translation, please.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. He says that I've been put into the association of demons as a result of my activity. And I think in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that we are in this material world because of our karmas here. And there I was thinking that he says, but Lord is Kripana Vatsala. So unless we realize that this is our situation, it is, we cannot appreciate the mercy of the Lord. Realizing how the modes are working on us, how helpless we are, how small we are. I think one of the purport Lord Srila Prabhupada said that Lord Bhagwan, you are so big, I am so small. But we do not realize our smallness. And once we realize this, he's Kripana Vatsala. So yeah, that's all, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking a lot.
Anyone's time wants to share the reflection?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
So Mataji, from today's reading, like a couple of points, as everybody was mentioning, even for me, what I really liked was, none of the qualifications really matter. What really matters is about our devotional service. It's only the devotional service that satisfies the Lord. And then also the exalted position of a devotee is given, like he's considered to be more elevated than a brahmana, because a devotee can purify his whole family. And then also, it's mentioned about how when we offer prayers or when we glorify the Lord, it is not for the Lord, but it is for our own purification. So anything that we are offering to Lord, it's just for our own benefit. So just wanted to share these reflections. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Mataji, we can start this one over here. So we can close the chapter, Mataji, over here. If anybody no objection, we can pray now. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhya pacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Kausi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Prabhu ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you for giving the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank you, Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Please forgive me if I've intended any mistakes.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.